the pathway to convert dreams into reality. This podcast is produced by students from Toronto Metropolitan University's Masters of Digital Media program.
We're here to guide international students through the Canadian educational journey with expert insight,
real stories,
and practical advice
to help you turn your dreams into degrees.
International students spend months preparing for academic requirements, visa applications, and financial planning. But there's one factor that consistently undermines international students' morale: the daily reality of living where everything feels slightly off. Today, we follow the cultural adaptation timeline that research shows affects virtually every international student during their first year.
I had weird expectations coming to Canada. At first, I think a lot of people coming to Canada, they have this certain image of this beautiful land, greener pastures. My first expectations broke on the Air Canada flight. I was flying over from Shanghai and I was flying towards BC. I was like, all right, greener pastures, here I come. Ooh, land in Vancouver. All right, great. Do my immigrations. And then I realized, hey, hold on. It's not that great.
That moment when reality explodes expectations at 30,000 feet marks the beginning of what psychologists call the culture shock cycle. According to Ward, Bauchner, and Fernham's research in the psychology of culture shock, international students worldwide follow a predictable adaptation pattern from initial excitement through disillusionment to eventual integration. I'm Isha, and this is the cultural shock timeline that transforms international students from visitors into navigators. Even students with high English scores face immediate disorientation. Confidence can evaporate in seconds.
But then when I landed in Vancouver airport, I was lost. I was like a 5-year-old, I do speak English, right? I can show you my IELTS scores, but I felt I couldn't speak English in the moment to people. I was like, hey.
Your brain scrambles to process a second language while managing immigration paperwork, currency conversions, and spatial navigation simultaneously. But pleasant surprises await those who push through the initial fog.
When I first arrived here, during our first day, it was first introduction day, I was really surprised about how friendly were all the staff and all the classes. I mean, back in Jordan when I did my undergrad, everyone was more strict than here, a lot more strict. We had a very strict schedule, very strict professors. It was a bit. It was stressful times, to be honest.
Psychologist Colleen Ward documented what international students experience next: the honeymoon phase. Research shows this period of excitement and fascination typically lasts 3 to 4 months before reality sits in. Ivan's experience clearly illustrates this psychological timeline.
It definitely changed radically because at first it was me telling them oh, Canada is great. Toronto, best city. You had this phase, the honeymoon phase, right? The pink glasses. So I was telling my mom, my dad, my family, relatives, hey, Toronto is great. There's people, very talkative. It's a bustling city. I love the TTC.
But honeymoon phases end when daily life begins. That's when reality becomes unavoidable. Small discoveries accumulate into larger realizations. Samar learned this through his favorite food.
Yeah, for example, since we talked before the podcast about shawarma. In Jordan, if I get a good shawarma sandwich that will fill me up, it would cost about $2 to $3 in there. Here, for a good shawarma, it's about $15, I guess. Depends on the place, but yeah it's around 15. So now I cannot eat shawarma whenever I want here in Canada.
External factors you never considered start appearing everywhere. Yijun discovered how global politics infiltrate daily grocery runs.
I do think I noticed some difference, like eggs maybe, or just the groceries in general. And also one thing that bothers me is when I go to LCBO, I was looking for Tito's and they don't have it anymore because it's American. So yeah, it's in your daily life, there's like traps everywhere. And I was grabbing coffee from Balzac's earlier, and they called Americano like Canadiano or something. They just changed the name.
And even grocery shopping comes with cultural lessons. Marija Padjen explains how these small differences create unexpected challenges.
How we learn and teach and educate in Canada is not necessarily the same how folks learn and teach and educate in other parts of the world. I'll speak to myself. My family originates in Europe, and the majority of exams that my family took were oral exams. So to go from an oral exam and being used to that kind of conversational exam to go into a gym with 600 people and do a multi-choice, that's huge. How you study for that, how you learn, that's a totally different realm. And sometimes it takes students a lot of time to understand even things like citation, references, plagiarism, what that means, what we account for that. All of those things are huge. And even just adapting to systems, right? So there's these great videos that were produced by the University of Windsor and a few other international student groups where they're even teaching students how to grocery shop in Canada, right? Again, milk. Milk in Canada comes in bags. Imagine if somebody had told you that. Buy your milk in bags, right? Other folks, it comes in Tetra Paks and it doesn't have to be refrigerated. It seems small and trivial, but if you only have $4 to spend on milk and your milk has now gone bad, that's going to have massive ramifications on everything.
And these aren't just inconveniences, they're cognitive load. Your brain works overtime processing hundreds of small differences while trying to get good grades. And then comes the challenge that separates those who've heard about Canadian winter from those who've lived it. Samar describes how the cold season feels firsthand.
That was like a big shock because I always heard about Canada's cold and whatever, but I did not. When you feel it, it's completely different. The feeling, like when I go out in the cold weather and when I feel like the cold going inside through my bones, that's like a feeling that cannot be described, only felt.
Ivan experienced the classic winter progression that breaks many international students' resolve.
I wasn't expecting to be like the snow to be this hard. The winter, like, it's like first snow was great. Oh yeah, snow, wonderful winter, man. And then after a while, like late January, that was like horrible, just harsh. Coming to school, like it's like I remember late classes we had around 6, and it was really dark. And then going home, it's dark, and it's just all depressing and sad. So that was different. I didn't expect that, definitely, because living in China, it's a warm climate, no snow. So after classes, it's a little breezy, a little chilly, but nothing that much. But not the harsh trenches of the snow.
And winter becomes the moment when all cultural adjustments converge. According to Canadian Mental Health Association, about 2 to 3% of Canadians experience seasonal affective disorder, with another 15% experiencing milder mood impacts. For international students already managing cultural adaptation, these rates can be significantly higher.
We actually have developed a sheet on winter blues because a lot of individuals are not used to the darkness, are not used to the cold, are not used to the impact winter has on mental health. I mean, it's a known factor for those of us living here. Sadness, SAAD, seasonal affective disorder, is something that a lot of people experience in Canada. And going back to the kinds of conversations folks should be having, I hope folks are having those conversations before they come, because there are things people could put into place to support themselves through that.
Yes, well, the Canadian weather, like you said, even when Canadians tell you I'm from Mexico, this winter is cold. It's serious.
Yeah.
It's seriously cold. Yeah.
But I would say, we talk about winter in Toronto, and that's nothing compared to international students that, let's say, imagine if you'd gone from Mexico to Thunder Bay, right? Or I've met international students that were studying in the Yukon. So darkness, right? Like imagine going from a country where sunlight is part of your day to day to like 2 hours of sunlight.
For international students, this convergence is almost impossible to avoid, with homesickness, academic pressure, winter blues, and questioning their very decision to come to Canada. Research shows this typically occurs around the 4 to 6 month mark, but after this lowest valley begins the path to stability and adaptation. As students navigate their first year, many notice social connection patterns. Research by Krishna Bista shows international students worldwide find forming friendships with local students more challenging than connecting with other international peers. While students report having diverse friendships, they seldom have domestic students in close circles. Our students observe this globally.
It surprised me a lot that they're really respectful with other cultures, but they don't actually want to learn about other cultures. They're just respectful. But when I mention my culture and how is the situation in my country, they don't show interest about it. I feel pretty comfortable. Like everyone is really respectful, but I start talking about my culture and my background because they don't show interest. So I just feel confident talking about with other international students about it. Like share how is the experience studying here because they know we're in the same situation. But when I talk about it with my Canadian friends, it's like pretty uncomfortable.
These observations reflect different cultural approaches to friendship formation. Studies of Chinese students noted that friendship patterns vary significantly between cultures, what researchers call the difference between coconut and peach cultures. Yijun discovered these contrasting approaches to connection.
I think it's like between Asia and North America in general. So like Asian people, they might not say nice things, but they will think nice things. So, like even parents, they don't say like I love you. It's like it's not in our culture, but they will do things for you. And as in like North America or in the Western world, it's more like, oh, I miss you so much. I'm like so happy seeing you, but they don't actually mean it. And yeah, that's the biggest like culture shock. I took my time to learn the whole small talk thing.
There are no Canadians around me. I don't.
Are all your friends international students? Is that why?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's not. It's nothing like it just happened because all my friends are international students.
But these experiences may significantly vary among international students, even within the same environment. Ivan found genuine connections and helpfulness that surprised him.
Definitely the first thing, the positive. I'll start with the positives. I definitely love how people are very talkative here. Straight away, I make connections at the airport. Even there's some nice old lady who will help me, right? You'd never feel that loss, right? And it's great.
Learning to navigate social patterns becomes part of what researchers call cultural ethnography. Students create their own understanding of how the new culture works. Students also grapple with understanding Canadian identity itself.
What is it? What's even Canadian? Yeah. Oh, I do not like poutine. I don't like poutine. Sorry if this is controversial, but I do not like poutine. It like it's like very filling and rich, and I'm not like one for that. Actually, maybe I am because I love oxtail stew, and that can be considered rich. But poutine, I don't know. It's like a lot.
Cultural integration often attempts to create the most memorable learning environments. Yijun experiences trying to understand Canada's national passion effectively captures this discovery process.
I think it's like how people are so polite. Like they hold doors for you. They say like sorry all the time. I'm kind of adapting to that. Like whenever someone else bump into me, it's probably not my fault, but like I'm just sorry. And yeah, and the challenging part would be like all the winter sports because they like I feel their love towards it, and I'm trying to like when people talk about it, I'm trying to understand the whole like hockey, you know, but it's really hard. Like I all the like 3 sectors, all the rules, and I went to the school hockey race once, And I was like, I don't really understand how they switch players so fast. Right. And like, I couldn't even find the ball when I was watching the race.
These moments represent the turning point where confusion transforms into curiosity, where cultural gaps become learning opportunities to bond with new people. Around the 8 to 12 month mark, research shows most international students reach a new equilibrium. Samer experienced this transformation viscerally.
Some of them are, when I talk to them, some of them are, they would like to pursue like education here in Canada, especially for my friends. I at the beginning, when I talked to them, because, I was still, anxious and a bit, depressed for the new place. I used to tell them, no, stay in your place, don't leave your country, don't come here. Canada is bad or whatever. But but now, no, I think I have like a change of perspective. When I talk to them, I try to encourage them more,
And the same challenges that were once overwhelming become sources of appreciation. Samer discovered something profound about Canadian multiculturalism.
I was really admired like by the diversity that happening in here. And when we see like here, when we meet people of different, let's say, culture or a different background, we don't treat them differently. That's a good thing, because I've been to some countries, I'm not going to mention the names, but yeah, in some places they do kind of treat other people from other backgrounds or other races, they treat them differently. I did not see that here, maybe because of the diversity, and that's a nice thing. Like,
So building connections takes time, but yields unique rewards. Chietza captures how international students form instant communities.
Because you're all foreigners, you automatically become community, which is amazing.
Well, I think I've been an international student all my life. I want to say it's like my little badge of honor. 7 years, no, not 7, now 9 years, you would say. 8 years of service of an international student. And I think one of the perks of being an international student is that you make connections with people from different cultures. Because I think if you were like just a regular student, you have your limited group of friends from, let's say, one group, right, from one nationality. But as an international student, you make connections across the world. Like my best friends are Koreans. There's a Chinese, Iranian, Spanish guy I know. Definitely, you make connections in most like places with people you would not expect.
For those interested in enrolling into any of TMU's programs, here's a perspective from one of its alumni.
I would say at TMU, from a student perspective, I really felt connected to the campus, to my classmates, and to my professors. I felt really welcome, and like I was able to find support and resources where I needed it. As someone who now works as staff, I know the resources and support are there. And there's so much going on at TMU, every day there are, I don't want to say hundreds, maybe some days there's hundreds, but like many different events from people of all types of interests. So I think you can really find your crowd here at TMU.
Success in cultural adaptation isn't about perfection. It's about developing the flexibility to navigate multiple cultural contexts while building genuine connections across different communities. These navigation skills become lifelong competencies that extend far beyond academic achievements. And sometimes, cultural shock pushes some international students to go home, even after overcoming financial and policy challenges. But research indicates that those who navigate the full adaptation cycle, typically requiring a year, develop resilience and cross-cultural competencies that transform their personal and professional lives. In the next episode, our students share the practical wisdom they wish they'd known before arriving to Canada. We'll hear some advice from international students who are going through this transformative journey right now. And until then, I'm Isha. Remember, culture shock isn't a failure of preparation. It's proof you're doing something that matters.
for tuning in to Dream to Degree, the pathway to convert dreams into reality. This podcast is brought to you by Valerie, Aryan, Edu, and Lakshman, graduate students in the Masters of Digital Media program at Toronto Metropolitan University. If you want to learn more about the undergraduate or graduate programs offered at TMU, visit torontomu.ca. And if you're interested in the Masters of Digital Media program, you can reach out directly at mdm@torontomu.ca or explore the program at thecreativeschool.torontomu.ca/mdm. Follow and share the podcast, and until next time, keep learning, keep dreaming. Thank you.